My sister is my everything. So when she married one of the Wright brothers, I married the other. She liked the younger one, so I married the older one. After the wedding, we all went about our own lives, and things were good. Until the day his childhood sweetheart came back to the country. My sister said, "I'm filing for divorce today." "Okay," I replied. "I'll do it tomorrow." Doing it on the same day would be too obvious. That night, my husband, who was away on a business trip, rushed home and cornered me in the bathroom. Her or me? Pick one. Was that even a choice? If my sister was getting a divorce, obviously I was going with her. The photo of Justin Wright picking up his childhood sweetheart at the airport went viral. In the picture, the two of them were locked in a tight embrace. People online quickly dug up their past. They had known each other since they were kids, and rumor had it they'd even had one of those epic high school romances. My sister was grinding her teeth in anger. If he was still so hung up on his first love, why did he have to mess with me? Why marry me? I nodded furiously, giving her all the emotional support she needed. Exactly. I knew that Justin Kid was no good the moment he started chasing you. He's got that smarmy charm, and he calls you sis. Doesn't he have his own sister? Why is he going around calling other people's sisters sis? My sister gave me a weird look. I didn't get it, but I kept going. You were totally blinded by him back then. Insisting he was so good to you. Holly, is there anyone in this world who's better to you, who takes better care of you than me? Of course not, she said. She took my hand. Winnie, after I divorce that bastard Justin, if anyone in the Wright family dares to bully you, I'll come back and put them in their place. I looked at her and thought for a second. Holly, are you really going to divorce him? She nodded firmly. Yes. I have to divorce him today. Well, if my sister was getting a divorce, there was no reason for me to stay with the Wrights. Then I'm getting a divorce, too. After a moment, I suggested, you do it today, and I'll do it tomorrow. It would be too obvious if we did it together. My sister was surprised. Isn't that Lucas guy great to you? Why would you get a divorce? I leaned on her shoulder and nuzzled her. I only married Lucas to be with you in the first place. Now that you're leaving, of course I'm going with you. My sister must have been so moved she was speechless. After she married Justin, I was over at their house every other day. I was terrified she wouldn't be treated well. That's just how we sisters girls are, we want to be glued to our sister's side at all times. After coming over so many times, I gradually got to know Lucas. One day, after chatting with my sister, I was about to head home when Lucas stopped me. Don't you get tired running back and forth every day? Tired? How could I be tired when I got to see my sister? I shook my head. Not at all. Lucas was quiet for a few seconds. Then he told me he had a brilliant idea. Marry me. That way, you won't have to commute, and you can spend even more time with your sister. Lucas was an MIT grad for a reason, the guy was a genius. It was the perfect plan. So I happily agreed. 3 months after my sister married Justin, I married Lucas. We all had our own relationships, and life was actually pretty good. Who knew that Justin Kid would be so unreliable? How dare he break my sister's heart? But it was too late in the day. City Hall was already closed. We'll do it tomorrow, then, my sister said. Like a loyal puppy, I nodded. Sounds good. You tomorrow, me the day after. What's another day or two? With the plan set, my sister and I were about to go pack our things. But as soon as I stepped out of her room, Justin came home. Honey, please, let me explain. My sister scoffed and turned her head away. I got the message and immediately blocked Justin from entering the room. My sister doesn't want to see you. Justin looked like he was on fire, clasping his hands together and begging me. Winnie, please, just let me go in and say a few words to your sister. When I didn't budge, he turned and started wailing at Holly. Honey. I've been framed, honey. It's not what you think. Just give me a chance to explain, please. I was just about to kick him out for her. But then I heard my sister say, Winnie, let him in. I'd like to see what else he has to say for himself today. Before I could even react, Justin had slipped past me into the room. And he shut the door behind him. Sound started coming from the room almost immediately. They must be arguing, I thought. What if they start fighting? Worried my sister would get hurt, I scrambled to find a weapon. Finally, in the bathroom, I found a toilet brush that fit my hand perfectly. I gave it a couple of practice swings. The balance felt good. I was about to march out and join the fray, toilet brush in hand, but when I left the bathroom, I saw Lucas. I had no idea when he'd gotten back, but he was standing by the bed. He had dark circles under his eyes and looked exhausted and haggard. Thinking about how I'd have to divorce him after my sister did, I felt a pang of guilt. I tried to hide the toilet brush behind my back and asked quietly, "You're back?" "Yeah." Lucas sat on the edge of the bed and beckoned to me. "Come here." I obediently walked over. Before I even reached him, he pulled me into his arms. He held me tight, burying his face in my neck. "Winnie, I missed you so much." His warm breath tickled my ear. "I was scheduled to come back tomorrow, but I missed you too much, so I came back early." His voice was deep and husky, and unbelievably attractive. It felt like a little electric current running through me, making me tingle all over. "Did you miss me?" I couldn't help but nod. I did. Lucas wasn't like Justin. He would never do anything to hurt me. He was so good to me, the best person in the world, besides my sister. I'm a simple person. I have a huge soft spot for people who are genuinely kind to me. Lucas's arms tightened around me. "Really?" He took my earlobe into his mouth. His kisses were soft and frequent, trailing down from behind my ear. He was an expert kisser. A few gentle teases were all it took for me to be completely lost in him. I melted against him like ice cream on a hot day. Just as things were getting intense, I heard the deafening slam of a door from outside. Then came my sister's voice, choked with tears, "Justin, right, I want a divorce." I snapped back to reality. I pushed Lucas away, grabbed the toilet brush from the floor, and rushed out. The first thing I saw was that my in-laws, who were supposed to be on vacation, were back too. Right now, they were trying to stop my sister. When they looked up and saw me brandishing a toilet brush, everyone's expression became complicated. I awkwardly lowered my hand and discreetly dropped the brush. Lucas came out just then and conveniently kicked it a little further away. I ran to my sister's side, showing everyone with my actions that we were in this together. "Holly, honey, do your mother-in-law a favor. Let's all sit down and talk this through," my mother-in-law said. She was always really good to both of us. My sister only agreed because of her. We all sat down on the sofa. I, of course, sat next to my sister. Lucas naturally sat down on my other side. My in-laws also sat closer to Holly. Only Justin was left isolated on the sofa across from us. As Justin explained what happened, I kept one hand on my sister's back, giving her all the support she needed. My other hand was by my side. Suddenly, Lucas grabbed it and started playing with my fingers. I instantly sat up straight and snuck a glance at my sister. For some reason, being this close to Lucas right now felt like a betrayal. My face grew hot, and I quickly pulled my hand away. Lucas was sitting very close to me, and I felt him stiffen when I snatched my hand back. The weight of his gaze on me was intense. I kept my head down, not daring to look at him. After hearing Justin's explanation, my sister still wanted a divorce. "If you didn't still have feelings for her, why would you go pick her up yourself?" Justin started playing the victim. "I was just picking her up as a friend. The bottom line is, you don't trust me. A marriage without trust is just a house of cards. You want a divorce? Fine, let's get a divorce." Justin turned his head away, his attitude awful. Lucas, who had been silent the whole time, suddenly glanced at me and said, "I don't agree to a divorce." Justin's attitude had already set my sister off. "Lucas, this is between me and Justin. Your opinion doesn't matter. I will always stand by my sister." I pouted and muttered my support. "Yeah, exactly." The gaze from above grew even more intense. I ducked my head, unable to face it. My in-laws said it was too late and stopped my sister from leaving. That night, she and I slept together. Justin was naturally supposed to sleep with his brother. But Lucas was not having it and told him to get lost. I had been planning to tell him that I wanted a divorce, too. But seeing him in such a bad mood, I decided to wait until he was feeling better. My sister really did like Justin. She cried the entire night. In the middle of the night, she cried herself hungry, so I went downstairs to make her something to eat. I saw the faint glow of a cigarette in the garden. As I got closer, I saw it was Lucas, smoking outside. The second he saw me, he threw the cigarette down and stamped it out. "Why are you still up so late?" "My sister's hungry. I came down to make her something." He didn't say anything else, just watched me in silence. His gaze made me feel guilty all over again. So I quickly started talking, just to fill the silence. "Why are you still up?" "I was afraid you'd run off," Lucas said, pulling me into his arms. "I was in meetings all day yesterday, then rushed back overnight. Honestly, I'm exhausted. I really want to sleep. But I'm afraid that when I wake up, you'll be gone with your sister." My head was pressed against his chest, and I could feel the vibrations as he spoke. "Winnie, I'm so scared. Too scared to sleep." Remembering the dark circles under his eyes and his weary expression, I felt a mix of sympathy and sadness. "Go back to bed. If I'm going to leave with my sister, I'll tell you." I couldn't get the rest of the words out. Lucas cut me off, his voice muffled as he asked, "Winnie, me or your sister? Who do you choose?" Did he even have to ask? No matter what, my sister would always be my number one. I was the child my father had with another woman. Even my own mother didn't want me, she just left me and ran off with someone else. My sister and I had the same father, but she was better to me than anyone. When our dad was out schmoozing and fooling around with other women, it was always just the two of us, keeping each other company. She was never ashamed that I was the daughter of the other woman. She would comfort me, saying, "Winnie, what the adults did has nothing to do with you. You're the best little girl in the world." When we had to write essays in elementary school, other kids wrote about their moms carrying them to the hospital on a rainy night. I wrote about my sister. Because she really did carry me through the pouring rain to the hospital once when I had a fever that almost killed me. Seeing my silence, Lucas's arms slowly loosened around me. "Okay, I get it." He turned his head, unwilling to look at me. "You go on up and get some rest. I'll call you when the food is ready." I understood. My silence must have hurt him. That's why he was being so cold to me now, why he wasn't smiling at me anymore. With a stony face, he slid open the glass door and went into the kitchen. He made me food with a cold expression on his face. I woke up late the next morning. When I went downstairs, my in-laws and the two brothers had already finished breakfast and were sitting at the table, talking. The tension in the air was thick. My mother-in-law asked Justin, "Are you sure about this divorce? Second-hand husbands aren't exactly a hot commodity." "Mom." Justin pouted. "It's Holly who insists on divorcing me. What can I do?" My mother-in-law looked at him like he was a lost cause, rolling her eyes so hard they nearly disappeared into her head. She turned to Lucas. "And you? What's your situation?" Lucas looked down, twisting the wedding ring on his finger. "You know, Winnie. If Holly and Justin get divorced, I'm not far behind." My mother-in-law slammed her cup back down on the table. "Then why aren't you figuring something out? Is it some great honor to have both your daughters-in-law run out on you?" Justin mumbled, "What can I do?" Right now, all I can do is go see if my wife is awake yet. He shot a complaining look at Lucas. Your wife was cuddling mine all night. I tossed and turned in the study until dawn. Justin was about to say more, but his brother shot him a single glance. The words died in his throat, and he sullenly shut his mouth. Noticing me on the stairs, Lucas glanced at me for a second before quickly looking away. He was still mad about last night. Maria, please prepare breakfast for Winnie. With that, Lucas got up and left. Justin asked me, Winnie, is my wife awake? I tore my gaze away from Lucas's retreating back and glanced coolly at Justin. She cried all night. She only fell asleep around dawn. Justin rubbed his nose and left without another word. With both sons gone, my mother-in-law smacked my father-in-law on the head. Eat, eat, eat. I'm worried sick, and you've got the appetite to eat anything. This family would fall apart without me. My father-in-law, having been hit for no reason, looked at me helplessly. But what could I do? As daughters-in-law, the last thing we should do is get involved in our in-law's business. He understood. If he stayed any longer, he'd just get hit again. So he also left without a word. Soon it was just me and my mother-in-law in the dining room. I darted my eyes around, avoiding any and all eye contact with her. After the housekeeper brought me my breakfast, I buried my head in my food. Until she called my name, Winnie. She looked at me, and from the glint in her eye, I knew what was coming was serious. I haven't given you your allowance this month yet. I ducked my head. Lucas already gave it to me. She took my hand, smiling sweetly. What he gives you is his business. I'm giving you a little extra this month. She then started tapping on her phone. A moment later, I received a notification for a $1 million transfer. My jaw dropped. My mother-in-law smiled at me again. Your monthly allowance is $20,000. This month, I'm giving you $1 million. Your sister is still only getting $20,000. Don't you tell her. My mother-in-law had a brief career in Hollywood when she was young. She quit because everyone said her acting was terrible. She had a fragile ego and couldn't take criticism, so she just left the industry. In all my time with the Wrights, I'd never watched any of her movies. But in that moment, I finally understood just how bad her acting was. Her intentions were written all over her face. I saw right through her divide and conquer scheme. But only a fool turns down free money. I nodded immediately, making my position clear. Mom, don't you worry. Then I turned around and transferred $500,000 to my sister. My sister accepted the money instantly. After I explained the situation, she sent me back 3 huge exclamation points. I figured she was acknowledging my loyalty. Please. I've been my sister's most loyal servant since I was a kid. You could hold a knife to my throat, and I'd never betray her. $1 million was barely enough for her to buy a new purse. While I was planning to go out and buy that purse for her, my mother-in-law found out I'd sent her the money. She said she was very disappointed in me. After my sister and Justin pressed her, she reluctantly sent my sister another $800,000. I have to say, our mother-in-law is pretty great. My sister was about to divorce her son, and she was still willing to give her more money. That afternoon, my sister and Justin went out to get divorced. I wanted to go with them, but my sister wouldn't let me. I'll come back and get you after it's done. Seeing Lucas come out of his second-floor office, my sister gave me a look. Did you tell him yet? I shook my head. Not yet. Well, you two should have a good talk. I nodded and saw my sister and Justin out the door. My mother-in-law was having afternoon tea with the neighbor in the yard. She was sighing dramatically. The neighbor tried to console her. You have to look on the bright side. Every family has its problems. My mother-in-law snorted, saying it was easy for her to talk. My family has 2 of those problems, and they're a limited edition collab. Hearing that, I immediately turned and asked her, Mom, what kind of collab? I want to buy one. Life in a wealthy family is just that dull. You open your eyes, and you go shopping. My mother-in-law's sigh grew louder. She didn't seem to want to see me right now. So I went back inside and sat on the sofa, trying to figure out how to tell Lucas I wanted a divorce. When I saw him coming downstairs, I rushed over. But he didn't even glance at me, just got a glass of water and went back up. It was strange, there was water upstairs, so why come down to get it? But Lucas was always smart, he must have had his reasons. I followed him up the stairs. Step by step, right in his footsteps. Lucas suddenly stopped, and I didn't brake in time, slamming right into his back. My nose took the full impact, and I yelped in pain. He finally turned to look at me. Does it hurt? I clutched my nose, my eyes watering as I nodded. He put his water glass aside and cupped my face, forcing me to look up at him. Move your hands. I obediently moved them. Lucas suddenly leaned in close. We were so close I could feel the warmth of his breath on my skin. I knew he was just checking if my nose was hurt. But my heart was pounding out of my chest. I held my breath. My eyes fell on his thin, sexy lips. I suddenly remembered the interrupted kiss from last night. I couldn't help but lick my lips. Lucas chuckled, letting go of me and taking a step back. What are you laughing at? My face was beet red, and I looked everywhere but at him. He slid one hand into his pocket, the smile slowly fading from his face. His dark eyes shimmered, reflecting my image. Nothing. Liar. He was definitely laughing at me. But that wasn't important right now. Seeing Lucas grab his glass and head for his office, I quickly stopped him. Can I help you? When he looked at me again, the smile was completely gone. If not, I have to get back to work. I nodded frantically. Yes. Lucas waited patiently for me to speak. After a long pause, all I managed to ask was, Lucas, are you mad at me? He gave me a sideways glance. You're just now figuring that out? Actually, I'd known for a while. I knew from last night when he stopped smiling at me, when he made me food with a cold expression, when he hand-washed my delicates with that same cold look on his face. Lucas, don't be mad. He let out a cold scoff and turned his head away. Is that the best you can do? Oh. I get it. I stood on my toes and kissed his chin. I was aiming for his lips, but I'm too short. Even on my tiptoes. Why did he have to be so tall? Not giving up, I grabbed the collar of his shirt. Luckily, Lucas was very cooperative, and I successfully landed a kiss on his lips. Don't be mad anymore, okay? His mouth said nothing, but his body was very honest. He wrapped an arm around my waist and pulled me into his office. He shut the door. And then he started doing things to me that are not suitable for polite conversation. In the middle of everything, I suddenly heard my sister's voice. That familiar wave of guilt, of betraying my sister, flooded my brain. I pushed Lucas away, climbed off his desk, and pulled on my pants. I was about to leave when he grabbed my arm, his voice tight as he demanded, Winnie. What do you think I am to you? The desire on his face was gone, replaced by pure anger. Last night you kiss me then leave, and now you pull up your pants and run to your sister. Winnie, have you ever once thought about how I feel? His eyes were red. I felt like if I didn't say something to comfort him, he was going to cry. So I walked back over and patted his head. Honey, you were great just now. Then, I turned and walked out. I stepped out of the office to see my sister and Justin, arms linked intimately. What? Did they get divorced and become besties that quickly? I couldn't believe it. Holly, you guys. My sister looked up and saw me, freezing for a second. Then she quickly pushed Justin away and let out a roar, Justin right, I want a divorce. Justin shot back, fine by me. They started having a massive fight right in front of me. Sometimes I wonder if this whole divorce thing is just an act they're putting on for me. But that night, when my sister was crying in my arms, she seemed genuinely heartbroken. This afternoon, that bastard Justin said the purse I wanted was finally in stock, and he insisted we go buy it before getting the divorce. By the time we were done, City Hall was closed. Winnie, I'm definitely getting a divorce tomorrow. Oh. I nodded. For some reason, hearing that she wasn't divorced yet made me feel a sense of relief. My original plan was to divorce Lucas right after she divorced Justin. But now, I didn't have the heart to bring it up with him. He liked me so much. If I asked for a divorce, he would be devastated. But I turned to look at my sister. But I really can't live without my sister. I sighed. Being an amazing woman comes with so many problems. Then I casually reminded her. Holly, tomorrow's the weekend. My sister wiped her tears and promised, then Monday. I will definitely divorce Justin on Monday. I don't know why, but hearing her say that gave me a strange feeling. Before I could figure out what it was, Justin knocked and came in. He was holding a pillow, and after a quick glance at me, he said sheepishly to my sister. Honey, I want to try and explain what happened that day again. My sister's face was cold. There's nothing to explain. Justin dropped to his knees. If you don't listen to my explanation, I'm not leaving. He's gotten bold, threatening my sister now. I was about to give him a piece of my mind when my sister cleared her throat. Winnie, you can step out for a minute. I'll hear what else he has to say. Their eyes met. I finally sensed something was off and realized, Holly. I looked at her seriously, reminding her. Have you forgotten he picked up his old flame at the airport? They were hugging in public. And he talked back to you that day. Don't let this jerk fool you again. Before I could finish, Justin shot up from the floor, clapped a hand over my mouth, and pushed me out of the room. Lucas happened to be right outside. Justin shoved me into his brother's arms and glared at me. Bro. Get your wife under control. He glared at me. I complained to Lucas. He nodded. Yeah. I'll deal with him when I get the chance. When he saw me about to knock on the door, Lucas stopped me. It's late. Don't disturb them. I lowered my hand and turned to him. Lucas, are you going to bed now? He just looked at me without a word. Actually, I have something I want to tell you. I pulled him back to our room. Better to just rip the band-aid off now instead of dragging it out. Lucas, I said, looking him straight in the eye, I think I need to divorce you. Why? There was no surprise in his eyes, just an unnerving calm. Why do you want to divorce me? Because my sister is divorcing Justin. Lucas raised an eyebrow, his expression still calm. What does their divorce have to do with us? Because I can't live without my sister, I replied, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. I've already thought it through. If my sister gets divorced and remarries, I'll just go with her and marry into that family, too. Lucas's brow furrowed, and emotion finally flickered across his face. Liar. I was confused. You said you missed me, that you liked me. It was all a lie. The more Lucas spoke, the quieter his voice became, tinged with a wounded sob. You don't have me in your heart at all. He usually has this whole stoic, CEO vibe, and now he was acting all hurt and vulnerable in front of me. The contrast was heartbreaking. I quickly tried to soothe him. Honey. Usually, whenever he was mad at me, a single honey would fix everything. But tonight was serious. He wasn't falling for it. Honey, I wasn't lying. I really do like you, a little. I don't want to divorce you, either. I'd miss you. I walked over and wrapped my arms around his waist. Lucas worked out regularly, so there wasn't an ounce of fat on him. He felt amazing. The thought that I might not get to touch him anymore crossed my mind, so I secretly gave his waist a couple of squeezes for good measure. I was enjoying it, but I didn't forget to explain myself. You know I'm a total sister's girl. I can't live without her. Ever since I can remember, I've always been by her side. We went to the same high school, the same college, and we even ended up marrying into the same family. I pouted and kissed his chin. Honey, if only my sister wasn't divorcing Justin. Then we could be together forever. Lucas pinched my cheek. You want to be with me forever? I nodded like a little chick pecking at grain. Really? Besides my sister, I like you the most. The smile that had started to form on Lucas's face vanished at that last part. I leaned my head on his shoulder, trying to win him over. Sure enough, Lucas was the easiest person to appease. He sighed. Fine. I can be second place to her. As long as I have a place in your heart. Seeing him smile at me again, I wrapped my arms around his neck and kissed him over and over. Lucas lifted me onto his lap and deepened the kiss. Winnie. Let's finish what we started this afternoon. With my last shred of sanity, I pressed my hands against his chest. No. I have to go be with my sister later. Lucas's hand was already under my shirt, starting fires everywhere. Justin is with her. With that, he cupped the back of my head and had his way with me. Last night was way too indulgent. The next day, I couldn't even look my sister in the eye. I wanted to bury my head in the ground. As a sister's girl, I didn't dare meet her gaze, terrified of what I'd see in those deep, knowing eyes. My sister's eyes are the scariest thing a sister's girl can ever face. And my sister's praise is the sweetest sound she can ever hear. Lucas smiled and gently lifted my chin. Eat your food. I nodded dumbly and dug in. I still snuck a worried glance at my sister. But she wasn't mad at all. In fact, she was glowing, a smile playing on her lips. Then I looked at Justin. That kid was busy serving her food, handing her napkins, and generally fawning all over her. At the table, everyone else acted like they didn't see a thing. Only my mother-in-law and I were staring daggers at them. What is going on with you two? My mother-in-law asked, voicing my exact question. My sister and Justin finally noticed us staring. They both looked at me at the same time. Then, just like yesterday, they pushed each other away and started fighting. They each moved to opposite ends of the table. Divorce. Fine by me. My mother-in-law buried her face in her hands, her despairing gaze sweeping over everyone at the table. After breakfast, I was chatting with my sister when my mother-in-law suddenly sat down between us. She asked my sister, "Are you really getting a divorce?" My sister and I exchanged a look, and she nodded firmly. Yes. My mother-in-law then turned to me. You too? I nodded guiltily. Fine. She crossed her arms, looking deadly serious. I've had enough of this family. If you're both getting divorced, then so am I. The three of us will leave together. My sister was horrified. I was frozen in place. Outside in the yard, my father-in-law and the two brothers were huddled together. I couldn't tell what they were saying. Sensing my gaze, Lucas looked up at me and smiled. Next to him, Justin looked miserable, talking animatedly with a desperate expression. My father-in-law just listened, shaking his head and sighing. I looked at them with pity. They had no idea. The Wright family was about to fall apart. 3 bachelors living together, I wondered if they could even take care of each other. The more I thought about it, the more my heart ached for Lucas. Without a mother and without a wife, what would he do? I sat in the study, watching the man who worked so hard to support our family, and after a long while, I finally made up my mind. Lucas, I don't want to divorce you anymore. Hearing this, Lucas looked stunned for a moment. But he quickly recovered and said softly, Okay. Then what about your sister? I had it all figured out. I'll do what I did before. I'll go see her every day. I'll stay at her place on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, and I'll be home on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. With my decision made, I immediately went to find my sister. But she wasn't in the house, and the suitcase she had packed was gone. A sudden panic seized me, and I quickly called her. "Holly, where did you go?" She said, "Winnie, I'm heartbroken. I've decided to go abroad for a while to clear my head." "Where are you going?" "I'll book a flight right now." My voice was frantic. But she wouldn't let me come. "You stay home and wait for me to come back. I need some time alone." When the call ended, I felt completely lost, standing there in a daze for a long time. Until Lucas came to find me. "What's wrong?" A wave of sadness washed over me, and tears started streaming down my face. "My sister left." Lucas held me and comforted me for a long time. He gently stroked my hair until it was all messy. "What's there to be sad about? She'll be back in a little while." He was right. I pulled myself together and let him lead me downstairs. It was only at dinner that I realized Justin was gone, too. My mother-in-law asked where he was. My father-in-law said, he's away on a business trip." That night, I tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. I felt this hollow emptiness inside me. I missed my sister. I wanted to see her, to hear her voice, to smell her scent. Lucas sensed my restlessness. He rested a hand on my waist and pulled me into his arms. "Can't sleep?" "No. I really miss my sister." He suddenly sat up and turned on the small lamp by the bed. "If you can't sleep, then let's do something else." Before I could react, he had pinned me to the bed. A torrent of kisses followed. In the end, I was so tired I couldn't keep my eyes open and just passed out. But even in my dreams, all I saw was my sister. I woke up with a start in the middle of the night. The longing for my sister was so intense it felt hard to breathe. I secretly got out of bed and went to her room. The housekeeper had changed the sheets, and her scent was gone from the bed. I crawled into her closet, hugged her clothes, and took a deep breath. The ache in my heart finally started to subside. When Lucas came looking for me, I had curled up and fallen asleep in her closet. He scooped me up and carried me back to our room. I woke up on the way, wrapping my arms around his neck and sobbing uncontrollably. "Lucas. I miss my sister so much." Lucas gently patted my back. "I know." The next day, I was even more agitated. I'd call my sister, and the moment I hung up, I'd start missing her all over again. I paced around the living room, unable to settle down. Lucas brought me a glass of hot water and a pill. "Take this." "What is it?" He said it was something to help me get a good night's sleep. I didn't hesitate and took it right from his hand. After taking it, I felt incredibly sleepy. When I woke up, it was already dark. But thankfully, when I opened my eyes, Lucas was right there beside me. I snuggled into his arms, and that lonely, abandoned feeling began to fade. He asked me, "Want to go on a trip?" "No." I held him tighter. "I have to wait at home for my sister to come back." The third day, an unexpected guest arrived. It was Justin's childhood sweetheart. The photo of them hugging had been trending for days, so it was hard not to recognize her. "Justin's not home," I said, my tone a little sharp. After all, she was the reason my sister wanted a divorce. But she seemed completely oblivious to my hostility. "I'm not here to see him," she said. "I came to visit his parents." Oh, she was here to see my in-laws. My unfriendly expression softened. "They aren't here either. Maybe you can come back later." She nodded and handed me a paper bag. "Well, then I guess these cookies are for you. I made them myself. You should try some." I took them, stunned. Thank you." "I'm sorry, my tone was a little off earlier." She had a bright, sunny smile. "It's okay." We were chatting at the gate when Lucas came out. "Why don't you come in?" She waved to Lucas. "I can't. My parents are waiting for me at home." Then she leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Winnie, I think you might have misunderstood me. I stopped liking Justin a long time ago. He was just picking me up that day as a friend." She was so sweet, and she gave me cookies. How could she be lying? Justin was the absolute worst. She didn't even like him anymore, and he was still hung up on her. After she left, Lucas led me back inside. Lucas, we totally misjudged her, I said. She's a good person. He smiled and nodded. Yes, and my Winnie is a good person, too. Of course I am. We're all good people. Except for Justin. I secretly vowed that as soon as my sister came back, I would make sure she divorced him immediately. For the next few days, Lucas was by my side almost constantly. When he had to go to the office, he took me with him. He'd be in a meeting, and I'd wait quietly for him outside. He would turn to look at me every so often. We went shopping together and had dinner at a new restaurant he'd opened. That night, he took me to meet his childhood friends. The guys were chatting and playing cards, while I sat on the side, eating dessert. After one round, Lucas asked me to play his hand for him. The stakes were high. I had to concentrate and take it seriously. At night, I would still miss my sister terribly and would end up in her closet until I fell asleep. When I woke up, Lucas would have already carried me back to our room. He was always there. It made me feel so safe. One day, I suddenly asked him, "How come you're always home? Don't you have to work?" My mind jumped to the only possible conclusion. Did the company go bankrupt? Are we going to be broke? Am I going to have to live a hard life with you? Lucas told me to stop letting my imagination run wild all day. If you're that bored, we can do something more meaningful. He looked at me, his eyes burning. Even though we spent every day together, I never got tired of him. In fact, a lot of the time, when he looked at me like that, my heart would start racing, and I'd get all flustered. I blushed and changed the subject. It's been 2 months. Why isn't my sister back yet? Lucas set aside the document he was holding. You miss your sister? I quickly shook my head. No. Not at all. For the past 2 months, whenever I missed my sister, Lucas would drag me to bed. Day and night. He'd get this wild, desperate look in his eyes, like his life depended on it. While Lucas was in the shower, his phone lit up. It was a message from my sister. How is Winnie's condition today? I had just messaged her. She hadn't replied to me, but now she was asking Lucas how I was doing. My intuition told me something was wrong. I scrolled up through their chat history. Sure enough, from the very first day she left, she had been getting daily updates on me from Lucas. I opened her social feed. It was filled with pictures of her and Justin. They had been together this whole time. Happy, in love, living their best life. That time I had a fever when I was little, it fried my brain a bit. I've never been the sharpest tool in the shed since then. So I couldn't figure out what was going on by myself. My first instinct was to call my sister and demand an explanation. By the time I realized I was holding Lucas's phone, she had already answered. Hello? Why the sudden call? Is Winnie asleep? Is her condition any better? Was I sick? Holly, am I sick again? Hearing my voice, my sister panicked and flew back home that very night. They told me everything. It turned out Justin had never betrayed her, he was just helping her put on a show. And it turned out I really was sick. The psychologist said I had a serious psychological condition. She used a lot of technical terms, but the gist was that I had a pathological dependency on my sister, and I would get anxious and miserable whenever she was away. But over this period, I had gotten much better. My sister cried her heart out. If you couldn't get better, what would you do if I had an accident one day and was gone forever? I just want my Winnie to be healthy and happy forever. Can you forgive me for deceiving you? Of course I'd forgive her. She's my sister. After everything came out, the angriest person in the house was my mother-in-law. She was even more furious than I was. So? Everyone knew, and you all just kept it from me? I immediately raised my hand. Mom, I'm with you. I just found out, too. My mother-in-law said I was her good daughter-in-law. My sister glanced at her, and she quickly added, "Of course, Holly is my good daughter-in-law, too. The three of you, a bunch of conspirators. Do you even think of me as your mother?" Justin, with his arm around my sister, pouted at his mom. "Mom, your acting isn't that good anyway." She was indignant. "Even if my acting is bad, you think I couldn't have handled Winnie?" I didn't have the heart to tell her that I saw right through her divide and conquer scheme last time. At dinner, the house was once again filled with its usual happiness and peace. Winter had arrived. Outside the window, the first snow of the year was falling. Lucas hugged me from behind, watching me draw a little heart on the foggy windowpane. "For you." He suddenly turned me around and lifted me off the ground. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with a smiling light. "Winnie, I love you so much." Lucas was always saying these things that made me blush. I fought back a massive grin and mumbled, "You say that all the time." Lucas wrapped my legs around his waist and carried me further into the room. "My Winnie is a little slow. If I don't say it all the time, I'm afraid you won't know." He was the slow one. His feelings were so obvious. How could I not know? But he had a point. You have to say it out loud. What if the other person doesn't know? Lucas. I love you, too. I know.